Welcome back, guys. As always, we are very proudly sponsored by 502 Media. You guys know him as Andy Films and Hikes, but we have Andy Neal on the podcast today. Andy, thank you so much for hopping on.
Thank you so much, Heather, for having me today. I'm excited to be here and talk about my journey.
Yeah, I'm very happy that I saw your Threads post a few months ago being like, hey, I want to talk mental health. Where are mental health podcasters? You know, it's an incredibly important topic, but why is it so important to you?
I think because mental health is just not talked about like it should
Right.
be. We talk about mental health in platitudes, little pithy sayings, little pithy tweets, but mental health is complicated. Everybody deals with it at some point in their life. Mental illness is a reality that it's in front of us every day. And we have to talk about it. And if we don't, people feel shame, they feel regret, and they don't get the help they need. They don't seek out the help they need. So much of what I do on my platform is destigmatizing that, saying, and it's one of those tweetable platitudes I talk about, but it's okay to not be okay. Because we have to really kind of get that into our core. It is okay to not be okay. It is okay to ask for help. Mental health is health. Mental health care is healthcare. That is a right.
Yes.
And we need to be able to take care of ourselves and take care of each other and talk about these things.
Now, you have a very unique take on it because we've seen a lot of mental health creators that are like, hey, just sit with me. Let's talk. Let's do this. You're like, we're getting out in nature and we're hiking. So where did that platform kind of blossom from? Was it just you kind of posting like, hey, I like, hiking, and then it turns into this is what we're doing?
So kind of got a little before that. I was in the midst of a career change. I was an evangelical pastor for 15 years. I left that behind, went to film school, immediately after, got a second degree. And after I got my second degree, it took me 2 years to get that. And after that, I was just floundering. I was here in Southern Oregon, not exactly Hollywood. We do have a thriving production culture here for film and TV. Movie Maker magazine voted us one of the top 10 small and medium-sized towns to live in if you're a filmmaker. So it's not like there was nothing here, but still, it's not Hollywood. It's not Atlanta. And I was just struggling to find what to do, kind of figure out my lot in life. I was having an existential crisis. And my therapist, who I was going to, helped me with a lot, talking about, she diagnosed me with an eating disorder, all kinds of stuff. But I was talking about how I just didn't have meaning anymore because I was a pastor and evangelical for so long. And then I just didn't have that anymore. I didn't have answers. And she literally said, go for a hike. And, not something you normally want to hear your therapist say, take a hike, but this was in like the best way possible. And so I did. This is 2019, summer 2019. I fell in love with it. Fell in love with hiking, fell in love with the outdoors, and was immediately feeling benefits to my mental health. We had adopted 3 kids from foster care. Our 2 oldest had special needs. They were abused and neglected in every way you can think of. Began to take them out, saw some benefits for them, and just really kind of fell in love with it. Well, shortly after that, March 2020 happened. The world shut down. There was no work. Bill collectors coming to the door. There was nothing to do. So I just started hiking more and more every day, out hiking, taking pictures of it, posting videos. At the time, I was about 400 pounds though. So, couldn't find a lot of hiking clothes for me, hiking gear for me. Only thing I could find at the time was Columbia Sportswear. A lot more brands have opened up for plus size and larger bodies for hiking gear and clothes. But at the time, it was Columbia Sportswear and nothing. So found them and just started posting, myself out hiking in these clothes. Well, Columbia Sportswear saw it. They got wind of it. And we're like, hey, we love what you're doing. They started just talking to me some. And then one day out of nowhere, they're like, hey, have you ever considered being a plus size model? I was like, actually, yeah. 2 weeks prior, I decided I'm going to kind of pursue this because there are a lot of female plus size models, but not a lot of men. I knew like 2 at the time.
Sure aren't.
And so I'm going to do this. And immediately they're like, all right, Columbia River Gorge out in Portland, be out there. Signed a contract with Columbia Sportswear. And I was out there shooting. And then, next few months, I'm on coupons. I'm on advertisements for them. I'm everywhere. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm on websites. I'm internal insurance papers. They have people on there. It's like, oh, hey, here's Andy in front of a waterfall. And it kind of blew up. And then I had about 5,000 Instagram followers at the time. And started doing some more stuff with Columbia Sportswear. Eddie Bauer started doing some stuff with me with camping gear. Like, that was pretty cool. I'm like, all right. This modeling thing's gonna start working out. They are doing some acting locally, commercials locally. Like, all right, I think I can do this. You know, I went to film school, but it looks like I'm gonna be on the other side of the camera. Then January 2022, pandemic's winding down, and there was this trend online called going for a stupid walk for your stupid mental health, where someone just, you know, look grumpy, they have their phone like this, like, I'm going for a walk, and they go take their dog for a walk or whatever. I was like, okay, I can do that. I dropped my daughter off at it was a magnet school program, and there was a river and a hiking trail nearby that I went to a lot. Like, I can do a stupid hike for your stupid mental health instead of a stupid walk. Except I won't just do one shot. I'll do 5 shots. I'll take my film degree and actually use it. Take my tripod, set up these shots. I did it, and then from the river, the trail there to home is about 20 minutes. I got 10,000 views. Now at this point, I had never had a video reach more than 5,000 views. Like in 20 minutes, like, oh wow, this is big. This is going to be huge. I'm thinking, oh, this might cross 100,000. This might be, you know, which is still, it's a lot of people. I don't want to minimize it. That's a lot of views. That's still a lot of views. You know, and then it slowly started just chugging along. I'm like, oh, this is doing really, really good, really good. 100,000 views, 200,000 views. That was a Tuesday. By the weekend, it was at 300,000 views. I'm like, oh wow, this is blowing up. That Monday, it hit 1 million. I'm like, oh, okay. And then I hit like 10,000 followers. I'm like, okay. The next day, I was on the local news. It hit 6 million, and then 20 million, and then like national news started calling me and just talking about, you know, the outdoors and mental health, and how the outdoors has affected my mental health, and this whole viral trend of going for a stupid hike for your stupid mental health, and just kind of blew up. And then at that point, I obviously worked with Columbia Sportswear, a few other brands, but all these outdoor brands were like, whoosh, who is this guy? He's hiking. And the body positivity movement was really, really gaining steam at the time.
Right.
So everyone was trying to put plus size clothing out there. Everyone was trying to do plus size gear. And no one, and I was told time and time again, we can't find dudes to model this stuff, to advertise this stuff. They're just not out there. And they just weren't looking hard enough, but that's not the point. All of a sudden I got pushed out in, you know, everywhere. And so people saw me, and I just went full time as a content creator. I went viral in January 2022. I was full time by February 2022 as a full time outdoor mental health content creator, creating videos, encouraging people to get outside at any size and take care of their mental health.
Yeah. How are you able to kind of wrap your head around that when all of a sudden, you're like, oh, 5,000 views. This is great. All of a sudden, all these brands are contacting you. You're out there. You are the face. And it's like, how did you wrap your head around going from point A to point O? Everyone knows who I am.
That was the hardest thing, is losing anonymity. Like, and I had worked, you know, through film school, and after film school, I had worked with a production company where we worked with some influencers, and I had some influencers who were friends, so I knew kind of what to expect from their experience. I was close with them. I remember I went to VidCon 2017, and I'd be walking through the VidCon floor with them, and they'd be stopped every 2 seconds. And I'm like sitting there waiting for them to take the selfie. And so I knew that was a thing that happened.
That is the life.
But when it happens, you're like, oh crap. Like, I just want to go to Target and get a gallon of milk.
Yeah.
And
no such thing anymore.
I just want to, and it's just so like, and locally, like everyone kind of in my town in Southern Oregon, Medford, Ashland, people know me. So a lot of times they'll acknowledge me, but at first, after I went viral, it was just like, you were that guy. You were that. Oh my gosh, let me get a selfie. I think it really hit for me about 6 months after. I was with my daughter, and we were hiking to this very remote waterfall off a side road. Well, some dude had seen me pull off the main road to the side road, and he followed me. He was nice. He was fine. And he got to the trailhead, again, really remote. Was hiking about a mile behind us. My daughter and I were at this waterfall, and he just wanted a selfie. And I'm like in the middle of nowhere. I'm like, oh crap, because my car was in the viral video. Like, I got out of the car, and so he'd recognize the car, and he just wanted a selfie. So he hiked this 2-mile hike to this waterfall just to get a selfie with me. And he literally came, got the selfie with me, didn't even take a picture of the dang waterfall, which was amazing, and then hiked back out. And then as he's leaving, my daughter's like, we can't go anywhere. All right, this is our life now. This is our life. And I don't want to seem ungrateful because this has
Right.
changed my life.
Yes.
It has. We are completely out of debt now, except for our mortgage and some student loan stuff. We get to travel all over the country and the world now. Um, the opportunity for my two oldest children, because of my platform, I've been able to get them help they would not have been able
Yes.
to get, because I'm able to bother politicians and agencies like, hey, do your damn job, or I'm going to call out names. I'm going to start naming names, and they do it because I have the soapbox, which is sad that I have to do that. But
I was
so
just
it's
thinking
changed
that.
our life. It's
Mm-hmm.
changed our life, absolutely, but it's not without it's consequences, and it just took some time to get used to. But you know what? I love it. And I tell people, you know what? If you see me out in public, don't don't DM me later, tweet about it later. Just come say hi. Take a
Right.
selfie. It's fine. I'm totally cool with that. And a lot of people are respectful. Like, I was at Red Robin with my family the other day, and I saw two DMs like, "Oh, I saw you at Red Robin. I didn't want to interrupt your family." I'm like, I totally appreciate that. I was with my family
Yeah.
having dinner. Thank you. If you see me leaving, you can come say hi. It's cool. But I appreciate that. But if I'm just out and about at Target or Disneyland or airports and planes, happens all the freaking time. Just come say hi. Unless I'm running to catch my connection, it's cool.
Right. Yeah. And I think we're making such strides with actually, you know, being more respectful of,
Mhm.
influencer and celebrity figures, of like, they're also people. They also
Yep.
need their space and stuff. So I'm sure it's confusing for, fans and followers and things like that to be like, I want to say hi, but I also don't want to
Yep.
like interrupt the fact that you're having quality time with your family, or you're just trying to run an errand or something like that.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it's a very fine line, and I'm sure it can get very, very daunting for not only followers but you yourself, where there are days where you're like, hey, just come up to me, and then there's other days where you're like, I don't have the bandwidth today.
Yeah, and then those are days I'll put earbuds in, sunglasses on, hood on.
Yep.
I'm gonna get in and out, and I know that. And I think too, in our culture, what celebrity has changed. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you're at a Target in Medford, Oregon, not even Portland, 4 hours away from Portland, and there's this guy that, oh my gosh, I recognize him. How you expect, going to Vegas or LA or something, you
Yes.
expect to see that in a big city, but what celebrity has changed? And so, like, there's another big influencer 2 towns over from me who's much bigger. He's been on the Kelly Clarkson show. He deals with a lot of the same stuff, except at an even bigger level, because he's been on these national programs.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Dad Social. He's huge. Love that guy. But he's like, everyone knows who he is, and it's like, it's the same thing. It's like, little town of Grants Pass, Oregon. No one comes from there. All of a sudden, he's just going in and out with his kids, and it's like there's a mob. What celebrity has become has completely changed. And what's funny is
Yes.
too, he has like 10 million followers. Someone can have 10 million followers, and if they're not falling into your algorithm, you'll have no idea who they are
Yeah,
sometimes.
literally. And you talk about how you're doing full-time content creation, and people think, oh, if you're doing full-time content creation, like, you definitely have a team, you have this, you have that. That wasn't always the case for you. You did just post on Threads a few days ago about, I believe it's your agency, or your creator
Yep.
support, I Am Social. What do
Yep.
they do for you now? But how much were you taking on before you were able to hand it over?
Oh gosh. So when you are a content creator, especially starting out, you're the talent, you are the director, you are for me, the vast majority of my income came from brand deals. There was some ad revenue,
Yeah.
because people watch the videos, they put ads on it. There was some of that, and there's a lot more now, but starting out, it was just a tiny little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're having to negotiate contracts, and some brand comes to you, Columbia Sportswear comes to you, and they're like, hey, we want to work with you. Here's $5,000, and just sign on the dotted line and post a reel for us. Okay, cool. Oh, by the way, can you drop all the files and raw footage into this Google folder for us? Okay. Not realizing when you signed something called in perpetuity, which means now they own your image, name, and likeness.
Mm.
In perpetuity of those particular things. Which I don't get mad at brands for doing that, because it's business.
Right.
However, I walk into, a Columbia Sportswear, and there's a coupon with a picture that I took. And I'm like, this wasn't the modeling shoot. This is a picture I took. and it's on this coupon. Oh, I messed up. Like, and so like stuff like that, and also just not being paid fairly. Talking with the first year going to VidCon, talking as a creator, talking with other creators and finding out, oh, they worked with that same company on that same campaign and made 3 times as much, and they have the same amount of followers I do, but they have an agency, they have people working for them who negotiate. Because I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't know what I should be making. And it's a lot of stress. You start doing as many brand deals as you can because you're just trying to make ends meet. You're trying to just pay off debt, do all the things. My wife and I have never had money before,
right?
To like do that. We were always very scrappy, and we still are. But just getting by, all of a sudden it's like people are just throwing me checks, not realizing I don't need to take on 20 brand deals this month. I could take on 7 and get paid the same as long as I'm being paid fairly. And so in 2023, went to VidCon with the express purpose of finding an agency, an agent who would represent me. And I talked with 12 different ones. All of them seemed scammy except for one, James Harrison, who was a boutique agency at the time, I Am Social. His daughter is Simone Harrison, a big time YouTuber. A lot of people like in the tween and teen spaces knew who she was. She just kind of grew up in that, and from Ohio, moved to LA with his daughter, who got really into YouTube, got really big, and just wanted to help creators because he saw what his daughter was going through, and he was in the business world. So he started this agency. At the time, he didn't have a whole lot of creators, but just something about him, I was like, this guy, like I feel like I can trust him. So I signed on with him, and then it was tough the first few months because he didn't know. He knew the very typical YouTuber influencer space, and I was in this outdoor mental health space he didn't know. But what I loved about him is he realized he didn't know what he didn't know, and he quickly hired someone who knew the outdoor space and created a unit within the agency just for outdoor and travel creators, and it just blew up. And now we have 40 outdoor and travel creators, along with the agency also has like family and then lifestyle. And outdoor and travel is the biggest part of it. The biggest part that makes the most money. And I was the first one. And they handle all the logistics for me. Not that I don't need to go out and find brand deals, but they're constantly, going out looking for brand deals for me. They are doing all the contracting, making sure I'm staying on schedule with posting. They just handle it for me, and they handle all my speaking engagements. So people come to me, hey, we'd love Andy to come speak here, there, wherever. They handle all the contracting, travel arrangements, make sure all that's handled for me. Stuff that I was doing before, but it was a headache and I wasn't doing it well.
Yeah.
And so I'm still doing all the editing and everything else, but like lately I've handed over my day-to-day schedule management to my wife, who like she tells me when I'm supposed to be where. Because before she's she's working part-time jobs, this that, and everything. She has her degree in master's degree in education, but she actually quit that to take care of our children full time with their mental health needs. But as our 2 oldest have gotten into adulthood, she's taken on more and more of that. Now she basically manages my schedule, tells me when I'm supposed to be where, fill this out, do this, do that, so I can focus on creating. And now we're looking at bringing on some creative help with editing and cinematography, so I can really just focus on speaking engagements, getting ready to write a book, and also creating creative content. And then I can make the content, film it, and then hand it to an editor, and they can edit it and then post it for me, which it's hard for me to do because I went to film school and I'm so meticulous about my editing. I'm like, but I know like I spent so much time in it, like I need to let it go because there's so many other things I could be doing.
Yeah. How are you staying creative with that? Because obviously content creation full time, especially outdoorsy, is more niche and less broad than other topics. How are you keeping that fresh for yourself where you're like, I still want to wake up and do this versus I'm so over this?
I think going out and being intentional about my time in the outdoors, about my time for myself. Like yesterday I went on a hike with no other purpose than to go on a hike with my family.
That's a big one.
Like, did I end up filming something? Yeah, I did, but it was just not. I didn't go there planning on. It wasn't a plan. It wasn't like, oh, we're gonna go. I need to film this. I need to film. Like, no, we're gonna go. Like, oh, actually, I have a quick idea. While you guys are taking pictures of these wildfires, I'm gonna do this really quick. Like, literally, 2 minutes, boom, gun, and posted it this morning, and it worked. So just constantly being in the outdoors, and also like not just doing outdoor stuff, talking about mental health, talking about, my journey leaving my faith. I'm doing a lot more writing now. I write on Facebook several times a week and on my Substack. That has been a great outlet for me. And then just talking about my own personal journey. I think what is going to separate a lot of creators right now is the ability to be able to talk to the camera, because there's so many AI like bots that can just talk to camera and be an influencer. If you get an actual person who can do it and do it well and be sincere and authentic, those videos do so well now. Brands love those videos because people can smell AI a mile away.
Yeah.
And so just being able to go on there and just be authentic and share my story about weight loss, about mental health, about, things I'm going through, my own struggles, that connects with people, and people not only love that, but it's authentic, genuine content that is wholesome and shows people that it is okay to not be okay. It is okay to struggle with these things. It is okay to be authentic and real. And it's not just some funny, trendy video, which I still do. I still make stupid hike for stupid mental health videos, and they still do really well. I had one go viral last week. And sometimes I just do them if the algorithm's not treating me well, I'm like, well, it looks like it's time for another stupid hike for stupid mental health video. Find a good waterfall, do it real quick. All of a sudden, followers go up, views go up. My management team actually gets a little bit ticked off about it because it kind of artificially pads my numbers a little bit. It hurts my engagement because you have 1 million views, but with a video with that many views, your engagement rate, like the percentage of engagement, isn't going to be great. But at the same time, it does foster more followers, more views, that sort of thing. And it stokes my ego, which is nice.
Yeah. I swear to God, it's the ones that you just kind of throw together really quick that do the absolute best. The ones that you're not like, have a script and a plan and, this is trending, so we're going to make this work. It's the ones that you're like, I got to put something out here. So, and then that one blows up and you're like, okay.
Yep. I mean, it's a perfect example of that. One time I had gotten it was a GoPro microphone, and I wanted to test it out. So I was at a waterfall with my daughter, and I had a little selfie stick on it, and I just wanted to test the microphone, see how the audio sounded. So I did it, and I was like, do you see this? Do you see this? It's freaking nature, and it's freaking awesome. Woohoo! This was 2023. I did that. The video went viral, got 1 million views. It was decent, but the audio of that got taken. 60,000 videos were made with that video. People out in nature. Insane. And there was one video someone made. It was a marine biologist of this weird looking plant squid thing. He put it on there, and that video got 60 million views. And it was some random thing I did, like, oh, it's funny. It looks aesthetically pleasing because the waterfall's in the back. Okay, I'll just post it. Didn't even give it a second thought until it started getting steam. Like, oh, it's doing really well. I'm like, oh wow. And then my feed is like my voice over and over and over and over. And I'm like, God, like, I'm tired.
What's that like?
Yeah, that's just weird. Cause like, and then like literally there was times where I would be talking with somebody and like, your voice sounds really familiar. Oh, you're that freaking nature guy. I'm like, yes, I'm the freaking nature guy. Like, you didn't recognize my face, but you recognize my voice.
Well, whatever works, I guess.
Yes.
So to backtrack a little bit, you had said that you were talking, you're very open about your weight loss journey, and especially more open about the fact that you've used support with GLP-1s. What has the feedback been like that? And to kind of backpack off of that question, because you're big on the body positivity movement, and I know a lot of people have said because you've lost the weight, you're no longer body positive and this, that, and the third. How did all that kind of affect you, but also like what is some of the feedback been in general?
So going into having one viral, I was known as the fat hiker, which I'm fine with the word fat. Most people in the body positive community are fine with the word fat. That's never been a problem for me. So I was known as like the fat hiker, and I was always talking about everybody outdoors. The outdoors are for everybody. I'd always emphasize on the body part. Got really involved with the body positivity movement. Spoke at FatCon. I was involved with an organization called Unlikely Hikers that literally it was a body positive movement for hiking in the outdoors. So very much involved with that. I was on so many body positive podcasts. Was obviously pushing plus size gear, plus size backpacks, plus size mattresses. People for larger bodies for mattresses. That's the issue. People in larger bodies. Mattresses sag, and so I was doing stuff like that. I was the guy. Was featured on news articles about the body positive influencers breaking the mold of what it means to be outdoorsy. All this stuff. But my health was crap. Like I can't deny that fact. I was out there hiking. Yes, 5, 6, 7, 8 miles. But I had fatty liver, blood pressure was through the roof. I had an eating disorder that I just couldn't get under control. Was active, was strong, obviously at 400 pounds, hiking up, 5, 6 miles, 1,000 feet of elevation gain. Obviously, it was strong.
Yeah.
Sleep apnea, was waking up in the middle of the night. My wife, scared because I stopped breathing, and she almost called 911 several times. And I got to this point where I always kind of had a little bit of an issue with the body positive movement. I go to these conferences, I would speak, and people would look down on others who were fat, were plus size, and they engaged in what they called intentional weight loss. I was like, you know what? We, the body positive community, generally very progressive. We talk about, my body, my choice, which I absolutely affirm and believe in. However, someone makes a decision with their doctor about losing weight, and we demonize them immediately. It never sat right with me. Never okay with that. GLP-1 started becoming a thing. The body positive communities, they have a very visceral reaction, and rightfully so, because diet and fitness culture for so long has targeted and profited off of fat bodies, knowing perfectly well they were selling snake oil. Things like Fen back in the early 2000s and late 90s, things that just did not work and were hurting people in fat bodies.
Yes.
This was different though, and with the GLP-1s, because there was a lot of really great research behind it. The drug had been around for a long time, just not for weight loss specifically. It was for diabetes, to treat diabetes. As people were using it for diabetes, they began to notice, hey, this has really great effects for weight loss. Turns off food noise, that sort of thing in people's brains. And so, I'm sitting here, 400 pounds, like, okay, I need to do something because I just can't function like I want to.
Right.
So I began to just, try to intentionally lose weight without telling anybody. Got down to 360. That was in January 2024. By June 2025, I had only lost, that was a year and a half. I'd only lost 40 pounds. I was down to 360. And just could not get the weight to come off. My entire family, both sides of my family, were plus size, bigger people. We've all struggled with heart issues, cardiovascular issues, diabetes, cancers, just through everything. And I'm, in my 40s now, and I'm like, I can't keep carrying all this weight. I can't keep waking up in the middle of the night. And no matter what I'm doing, no matter what I'm doing with the doctor, counting calories, that, I just can't. The weight doesn't want to come off. I'm bloated all the time. I'm inflamed. But not only that, like, I'm struggling with this eating disorder that just, I can't turn off the food noise. My brain is telling me to eat. And it's just, for a lot of people who struggle with eating disorders, binging disorder specifically, it's like you do your best all day. By the end of the day, you just can't turn it off. And then you binge at the end of the night because your body's telling you to eat and your brain's telling you to eat. And so you do it. And then so you just get in this cycle. But so May, June of this last year rolls around, and I'm tired, and I'm seeing people using these drugs, and I'm like, it's working. Go to my doctor, go to my therapist. We talk about it, and like, it's worth trying. I was like, all right, I'm going to do it. Going into this knowing perfectly well that I was going to be ostracized by the community that had really helped me love my own body, accept who I am, helped me grow in a lot of ways. But I knew like this isn't going to go over well, but I have to think about myself and my family first.
Yes.
And also very much worried that I was going to lose brand deals because I was the fat hiker. I ended up announcing, hey, I'm going to start this, guys, right before I went to VidCon. And last year, I was speaking at VidCon for the first time. Plus size community was really horrible, terrible things they were saying to me in my DMs. They were messaging me. They were just, you betrayed us. You gained a following off the backs of plus size people, yet now you're turning your back on us and following trends. All kinds of horrible. And I get that because yes, I went viral. I was known as the fat hiker, the plus size hiker. Worked with brands, promoting plus size gear, body positivity, body inclusion, and now I'm not doing that anymore, or I'm choosing to lose weight.
Right.
And so I get that, but at the same time, it's like I really affirm bodily autonomy, and I had to do what was best for me, and I knew my own health was not going to last much longer. I knew my family histories of strokes and heart attacks, of obesity and cancers, and I'm like, I'm not saying that losing weight is the answer for all people if they have those issues, but I knew I'd tried everything else, and what my doctor, who I had trusted, who wasn't pulling any punches with me, but also really wasn't being fat phobic either, was saying that the weight is probably going to take care of these issues. Mm-hmm. So I went on the GLP-1 immediately. First week, lost 17 pounds. Didn't realize how inflamed and bloated I was. And that was just water weight. That wasn't like, I didn't lose 17 pounds of fat. It was just water weight and inflammation. I remember that first week, like, took the GLP-1. I was on and I was going to the gym 5 times a week. I was hiking 2 or 3 times a week. It's not like I was being lazy. I remember being on the elliptical, and I would have to push myself to get 30 minutes on the elliptical to the gym. Push myself in pain. And I'm on the elliptical, and I'm scrolling through TikTok on there, and then I'm realizing, like, whoa, it's been 40 minutes, and I'm not even feeling this. Like, I didn't realize how much pain I was in until the pain was gone. I'm like, oh wow, this is, and it just started coming off. And then the funny thing happened as I'm going to VidCon. A lot of people there are really encouraging me, like, hey, you know what? Thank you for being open and honest about this. And then I started having like freaking celebrities messaging me saying, hey, I want you to know, like, celebrities who are known as bigger people, I love what you're doing. Either saying, I can't do this because it's too much wrapped into who my identity is, but you know what, good for you. Or I am on it, except we're not telling anybody, we're just letting it slowly happen.
Right.
And I'm like, wow, okay. And so the positive comments started just outlasting the negative ones. They started just overshadowing them. I'm like, wow. And more people are realizing, like, this drug, yes, people abuse it. Absolutely. This is not 100%. GLP-1s is not, if you want to fit into, you're a bridesmaid, you want to fit into a dress by summertime, this is not something to lose 5-10 pounds with. No, this is not. GLP-1s are not a weight loss drug. They are anti-obesity, anti-diabetes drug. They are a drug to treat chronic illness, with diabetes and obesity are. They're not someone who needs to lose 5-10 pounds. They are people who were chronically obese and overweight, like I was, and still am to a certain extent, to cure and treat the chronic illness of obesity and the chronic illness of diabetes. And as the weight came off, I was really worried about losing my community, which I did. I lost the body positivity community is gone. I am horrible to them. But a lot of people left the body positive community because they saw how I was treated. They saw that, oh wow, this is, it is about bodily autonomy. Like, if we sit there as a progressive community and are going to say, my body, my choice, that needs to be in all things. Not denying the fact that the pharmaceutical industry absolutely has been predatory. Not denying the fact that the fitness and fitness, wellness, and diet industry has been very predatory towards fat people.
Yes,
it has. However, I'm living my best life now. Like, I can go to Disneyland with my daughter and fit on every ride. I'm not winded going up on hikes anymore. I'm sleeping through the night. My blood pressure is as my doctor said, you have the blood pressure of a teenager. Like, what is, like, everything about my life has changed for the better. And the flip side of this, now I have brands kept reaching out to me that never would have reached out to me before, because, like, oh, we love this personality before, but the whole fat thing wasn't really fitting our our aesthetic. But now look at him, and he's a success story. And I deal with that on a case by case basis. But, like, my brand deals have gone up. My impact has gone up. And what I really thought I was gonna have to get a 9 to 5. Like, I'm not gonna be able to do this anymore because this is my identity. This is the niche I've created for myself, and I just reinvented myself in that way, and it's been really, really cool. And I mean, even just this morning, I got a message from someone saying, because you put yourself out there with the GLP-1, I went to my doctor, I took it, and I've already lost 50 pounds. But better than that, I'm able to do things with my daughter I was never able to do before. I don't have to tell her no, I'm too tired. I don't have to tell her no, my knees are hurting. That's what it's about. You know, it's about living your best life. And it's not to say that GLP-1s are fix all for everybody. As I've sized down, I've, you know, sold a lot of my clothes because I've had to keep buying more and more clothes, and brand deals don't keep up with that.
That is the downside to weight loss, man. All of a sudden, you got to spend hundreds on a new wardrobe, and you have to keep doing it.
And you have to keep doing it over and over and over again. And now I people meet up with me and they're looking through all my old clothes, and, you know, plus size dudes, and they'll ask me, "How'd you lose the weight?" And I'll be like, you know what, it was definitely, there was diet and exercise involved, lifestyle changes involved, but ultimately what did it, you know, the massive amount, not just the 40 pounds, but another 110 pounds so far, was being on GLP-1. And I've had so many people say, you know what, I just can't, my insurance will cover it, and I just don't have that kind of money. Or I did try it. It made me so sick that I couldn't go to work. I couldn't live my life. Or it did nothing for me. It did not affect me at all. We went up to the highest dose. We tried a few different kinds. It just did not work. And they say this with tears in their eyes, you know, big burly dudes, you know, like really wanting to get this weight off, and they have tried everything and they just can't. And, you know, fat people they're so stigmatized in our culture that we're seen as lazy. We're seen as, you know, not willing to do the work, as, you know, sitting on the couch, Homer Simpson, especially dudes, you know, we get this Homer Simpson label put on us for just lazy, eating donuts all day. Where for so many dudes, it's just not the case. It's the cards we've been dealt. And so I, by no means, and I say this a lot, GLP-1s is not a fix all for everybody. And if you're not, and for me, if the body positivity community had not helped me learn to love myself first, the GLP-1s, would have taken the weight off, but I still would have hated myself. So the body positive community had its place for me, learning to love myself. And then I learned to love myself. I was able to then take care of myself. And then the weight came off. And, you know, I even posted this morning, you know what, Andy at 400 pounds has the same worth as Andy at 250 pounds. Yeah, 100%. It might look more aesthetically pleasing according to culture, but you know what? I'm the same guy. I mean, I had a freaking modeling contract at 400 pounds. I lost my commercial representation. Like, I lost it. I don't have a commercial rep anymore for like commercial modeling. I am social people, and they're great. I don't have that anymore. Andy at 400 pounds is a professional model, like a professional model. I'm not that anymore. I'm just an influencer. So like that's huge. I had the same worth at 400 pounds as I do now, and that hasn't changed. My health has changed. What I'm able to do has changed. I don't, you know, I'm able to get we're getting life insurance from right now. I was never able to get life insurance before because no one would insure a 5'11", 400 pound dude. No one. And that, for better or worse, you know, agree with that or not, it is what it is. And if something happens to me, and with my family history in my 40s, that wasn't outside the realm of possibilities. I wanted to make sure my family was taken care of.
And I think you kind of touched on kind of a bullet point when it comes to GLP-1s is they're for two things: chronic diabetes and obesity. And I think that's what's the most misunderstood thing about GLP-1s, because the only people we really see taking GLP-1s are the skinny girls that want to lose 10 pounds before spring break. And so it's kind of been villainized as being, you know, like a quick weight loss drug and not an actual support. And here's the thing too, like that will help you initially get the weight off if it does help. But there's also changes you need to make to keep that weight off. Otherwise, those habits that are not formed during that are going to come back. I mean, we've unfortunately seen it in very toxic ways. Like, and I'm sure this is going to piss off a few people, but The Biggest Loser, that was our like that documentary came out, and I was like, finally, because I didn't think it was normal that people lost that much weight in 12 weeks. And then we're like, oh, they gained it all back. I wonder why.
Yep. You can't maintain, you can't maintain that kind of activity. You know, if you're only eating 1,000 calories a day and you're working out 8 hours a day, of course you're going to lose that weight. Yeah. And even for me, like I tell people, you know, results may vary. And for me, I am a full-time outdoor and fitness influencer. When I go to the gym, I'm there for 2 or 3 hours. I make content a lot of time. I go out and hike 3 to 4 times, you know, a week. That's not normal for most people. Most people, if they go to the gym every day, it's 45 minutes on their lunch break. They might get a hike in on a Saturday. Maybe if they're not having to do other things, they're working 8 to 12 hours a day. in a job they probably likely aren't thrilled with. So of course, people message me like, "Oh, you've lost so much weight so quickly on GLP-1. I've been on the same amount of time, I've only lost this much." And I'm like, yeah, because you don't have these, these food meal prep brands coming to you, offering you deals to do this, and so they're prepping it for you, and so that's taken care of. My food stuff's taken care of. You don't have GLP-1 companies coming to you and offering you the stuff and offering you help and a dietitian. I got a dietitian I don't pay for. Like, I don't pay for my dietitian. Like, and I'm in the gym 2 to 3 hours, 5-6 days a week, and I'm on the trail 3 to 4 times a week. We have to really kind of measure that. Like, yes, I'm proud of the work I've done, and I've worked really hard, but it's part of my job. And The Biggest Loser really has done more harm than good.
Yes.
In just giving people unrealistic expectations, because the vast majority of people who were on that show not only gained all the weight back, they gained it back and then some.
Yeah.
Because that kind of activity, having an in-house dietitian and all your meals prepped and a doctor and getting your blood pressure and vitals checked every day, it's not realistic. It's not.
Right.
So you have to learn those habits. On a GLP-1, it really helps you because your body forces you to learn those habits, but eventually your body will get more used to the medication, and you have to learn, what's an acceptable workout routine, what's acceptable food intake, do you need to be counting calories or carbs or whatever it is that works for your body, and you work with your doctor and your team to do that, to figure that out and learn those habits. Some people go on GLP-1 and they don't make the changes. They don't change the way they're eating, and they're wondering why they feel like crap all the time. Like, oh, I'm on GLP-1, but I'm constantly feeling sick. Well, you're eating like you were before, and your body's telling you, no, we can't do that. And so, you're feeling sick. Or it's like, oh, I'm having, I'm on a GLP-1, but all this loose skin. You're going to have loose skin on a GLP-1 when you're losing that much weight fast. So it's like, you're not in the gym doing the resistance training that the doctor told you to do. Like, my doctor was so like, if you do not do this, you're going to have loose skin anyways, but it's going to be everywhere, and it's going to really prohibit your quality of life. And they're right, it does. It's like, cardio is great, cardio is awesome, but you need to lift weights, you need to build the muscle, because this will also not only take away the fat, it will take away muscle. And you have to learn those habits, and it sucks, but the trade-off is so much better for me.
And I mean,
it allows my body to do what the GLP-1s allow my body to do, what, for whatever reason, physiological genetics, it couldn't do on its own before.
Right, exactly. And like, honestly, any body size, changing your diet and exercise is incredibly difficult, and it takes a lot of discipline, and it takes a lot of motivation. So to have that, plus needing to improve your health with that's a lot to wrap your head around. But if you can do it, it beyond pays off, as you were saying.
Yeah. And I always emphasize this. It's just, everybody is different.
Yes.
And what works for me is not necessarily going to work for you. I'm encouraging people just to find what works for you. It may not be a GLP-1. Hiking may not be your jam. You may not be into going to the gym. Find something that works for you and do that. And it may be that you're in a bigger body, but you're healthy. That's fine too.
Exactly.
But I want people to look at my story and what I'm doing, and not just like, oh, I need to do that. It's, I need to do what works for me and take care of myself and my family.
Yeah. Speaking of taking care of yourself, you've posted recently, I feel like I stalk your social media, but honestly, like, it gives a really great insight into who you are. You've been really open on, not being okay, and your mental health being a little off, and, not being able to respond to messages because you get a ton of messages daily from people, and you're just like, hey, I'm human. I want to respond, but like today, I just can't. I'm not ignoring you. I don't think that I'm better than you, that kind of thing. Can you walk me through the mental health of all of a sudden being on this platform and almost feeling like a little responsible to be this like support for people?
It's daunting. It is so daunting. people message you because they've connected. They message me because they've connected with my message.
Yes.
They've connected with my story, and they
Mhm.
again, I think we don't understand what celebrity and what being famous has changed in the
Mhm.
recent years with influencer culture. And so for some people, they see me like, oh, he's untouchable. We can't talk to him, whatever. Other people are just like, oh, it's just some dude on the internet. I'll message him. Well, why hasn't he messaged me back? Why hasn't he? And they get real offended. And
Mhm.
that's a lot to take on, because I get at least dozens of DMs a day.
Mhm.
On a busy day where a post does really well, I'll get hundreds. If it goes super viral, I'll get thousands. I can't
Yeah.
keep up with that. I just can't. And so when I have some extra time, I'll go through DMs and I'll look and see, because sometimes brands will reach out and I don't see it. I want to make sure I get those, or maybe like a celebrity will reach out like, hey, and I want to see that. I want to see when Jodie Sweden from Full House messaged me, and now I'm friends with her husband, so it's really cool. Sorry, name
That's so
drop there.
crazy.
But
That's
like,
a
I want
big
to see
one.
those things. I want to see that,
Right.
because I'm still a fan. So like, but people get really upset. Like, hey, I messaged you 3 days ago. You never responded. Who do you think you are? You think you're better than him? I'm like, no, I just didn't see the message.
Yeah.
And for me to sit there and respond to, read, some of these very heartfelt, very just emotionally, just, they pour their heart into this message about how my content or something I've said or done has helped them, or changed their view on life or whatever. It's a lot to take on. And then, to have to respond to all those, you just can't do it.
Mhm.
And I've just had to come to the realization that I'm one person, and even, with my wife who helps me manage things, like we just can't do it. And that's got to be okay. And I post that stuff to let people realize, like, hey, you know what? We're people, and your message is one of today's 72. I can't get to them all, and I'm
Right.
not going to. I'm just not. It's nothing against you. It's nothing against what you said. I just have a life to live. And if I sat here and just responded to DMs all day and comments all day, I would never be going out and creating the content or writing the things that you love me for. And it's daunting and it's taxing. However, I guess it's just a part of the game now. It's just something you have to deal with. What's frustrating me is when people do reach out, like, or brands specifically reach out and they want to work with you, and you're just like, you are a Fortune 500 company and you're DMing me. Like, there's an email in my bio for a reason. Email my team. They will handle this. I'm like, come on, please. Like, DMs, really? Sliding into my DMs here? Like, this isn't going to work. But it is super, it's overwhelming. It really is. And, sometimes you read a message, you're like, oh man, I really wish I would have seen that at a certain time, or I would have been able to respond to that. But you just can't. You just have to give yourself grace and not. I almost said, forgive yourself, but there's nothing to forgive myself, because nobody can handle that. No one can deal with that, and that's okay.
Well, and trying to respond with the level of like care and empathy and acknowledgement that you want to.
Yep.
That's going to take more than a, hey, thanks.
Yeah.
Like,
And I used when I first went viral, I tried so hard to respond to every DM, where I'm just like, write thank you, little thank you hands, and just cut and paste on and respond to everyone without actually reading it, just so people felt seen.
Right.
But that's not genuine, and that's just a waste of time, because eventually even that takes too much time.
Yeah. So just to kind of, because we talked about some heavy stuff, but just to like lighten the mood just a touch, what was your biggest follow or DM that kind of made you go, wait, really? Like this person that I've, looked up to or I'm a big fan of, who was that person that you were like, holy shiznit, we've made it?
Gosh. So when I first went viral, it was Deborah Messing from Will and Grace, who played Grace. She followed me, but then I had the stupid mental health video. It was like a 300,000. She reposted on her stories, and that's when it went to 1 million. I was like, oh crap.
Oh wow.
And then I was like, okay. And what's funny is I worked at Starbucks here in Southern Oregon, and I can't remember his name. The character who played Will came into my Starbucks. He was driving up from LA to Vancouver, and we're right on the way. He came in and I rung him up and I made it was just a tall latte, and like there was no one else in the store except for someone who worked at the AT&T store next door. This was like 15, 16 years ago. And we were all like freaking out trying to keep cool and like, oh my gosh, it's Will from Will and Grace. And then Deborah Messing, who played Grace, she's the reason I got to over 1 million. Like, oh crap. Like it was just for me, it was kind of this like weird, awkward full circle moment. Like, wow, I've had interactions with Will and Grace. That's kind of cool. A big one though was a few years later. I mean, I'd gotten some traction, but like Jodie Sweden, who I would actually call a friend now. Stephanie from Full House, also Chrissy Metz, I'd call a friend from This Is Us. Love Chrissy. Hopefully I'm gonna be in Nashville in a few weeks. Hopefully I get to see her. She's actually playing at a venue I'm speaking at the following week, so we're hoping to work that out. But that's another one like, oh dang. And like Chrissy Metz, who's she's been like super encouraging about my weight loss journey, which most people wouldn't expect. Like, she's been so cool to me, and just like I'll post things like, oh, you look good in that jacket. I'm like, in my comments, I'm like, thanks Chrissy, you're awesome. And you see things like that and you're like, oh wow, this is really cool. And it's super just in celebrity, people people you've been watching before you went viral, appreciate what you're doing. You're like, wow, this is awesome. Like Stephanie Tanner, like she's Jodie's only like 6 months older than me, and like I grew up with her. My wife had when Fuller House came out on Netflix, my wife had a watch party. Like it was just this weird moment, like, oh my god. And her husband's a hiker, so it's like we talk a lot, and like it's cool.
It's a weird, because I've had some kind of, and I'm very very in the beginning of like my podcast journey and stuff. I've had those like bigger people like saying something or follow like an instant follow back, and it's like, wait, what? But it's such a hard, like, two things can be true. Like they're both human like you and me, but at the same time it's like, me? Me?
Yep. It's so weird, especially someone like Jodie, who's just like,
right.
We were such fans of Full House, my wife and I both growing up, and Fuller House. Great. And just like that was just a part of like of our childhood, of our teen years. And just to have her randomly like message you like, hey, where are some good places to hike in Southern Oregon? My husband's one. I'm like, oh, you follow me. Oh. And then it's just that is just so surreal. Like, oh my god, like it's so cool though. It's so cool. And then you have other people like important, like the governor of Oregon, follows me, who I've been very critical of. I say that
I saw that the other day and I giggled.
Well, I say that because like on paper we probably align politically, like lockstep. I'm just not a fan of how she's handled the mental health and education issues in our state, and also on how I'm afraid she's going to get, because their team does not know how to do marketing and social media, and the Republicans do right now, and they're going to trump her if she's not careful. Because anyways, that's another story. But just have people like that in important positions,
right?
Follow you and like, and they're seeking you out. Like that's just also very weird. Like, wow, I have influence and impact in all these areas now. And important people who, once you get, I mean, Barack Obama said this in an interview not too long ago. Like when you get in a room with some of these people, you go to VidCon and you're sitting there with with celebrities and people, you're like, oh wow, this person's a big deal. Or Ro Khanna, I met Ro Khanna at VidCon this last year, who's a congressman out of Palo Alto. A lot of people know, especially now with the whole Epstein file thing, he's been very critical of it. Like these are just regular people, who have worked hard. Some have worked hard, some are there because of their privilege, and they're not any different than me. And once you kind of realize that, it's like, they might have some money, they have name recognition, but they're no better or worse than me. And it's kind of a cool realization that we're all on this equal, as far as like who we are as humans, we're all on this equal playing field. Now, obviously there's privilege and other things that put people above other people, which is the systems we live in, unfortunately. But these people aren't any more special than I am, and I'm not any more special than they are.
Yeah. And I think that's what we all need to realize as a whole, is we're still all human. We have different backgrounds and stuff, but we're still all human, and we're still just people at the end of the day.
Yep. Yep. You can't. Don't. You know, when Will from Will and Grace come to your Starbucks, yeah, you can get excited, but just realize he's just a dude driving his RV to Vancouver and
Mm-hmm.
needed some coffee on the way. Like,
Yep.
that's all it is. You
Even
recognize him from TV,
celebrities need
great.
their caffeine.
Yes.
So, what is next for you? I know, obviously, the content creation, but you have an event coming up in Nashville, Tennessee. Are there any other events coming up in the next few months? Like, what is next for Andy?
Really focusing on the public speaking events and Stupid Hikes for Stupid Mental Health, hosting hikes, just to meet up with people. And people have been saying for years they want me to host group hikes. And I just started doing it. I did my first one a few weeks ago here in Ashland. Sold out, which is awesome. I've already spoken in Nashville when this comes out. Speaking at Harkin Hall in Nashville, Tennessee. 600 person venue. I'm hoping that does well. There'll be a band opening for me, which is kind of weird, but just telling my story. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I was going through the talk. I have to talk for 60 minutes and do a Q&A for 30. And I'm like, how am I going to say for 60 minutes? I'm just telling my story, which is really cool. And I'm excited for that. And I'm doing that same talk again here in Ashland. And then it's just telling that story. And then I'm getting ready to write a book, which a publisher approached me, so I'm stoked on that. Really talking about my journey of leaving my faith and career as a pastor, and
Mm-hmm.
talking about the political climate and my background and kind of the evangelical conservative world before I left all that behind. And
Mm-hmm.
things coming up, if by the time this comes out, I'll be speaking at VidCon in Anaheim, California, June 25th through the 27th.
Yep.
So that's on the schedule for sure coming up. If you're love to come to VidCon, you have kids go to VidCon, or you're a creator, I encourage any creator to go to VidCon, whether you're a podcaster or YouTuber, TikTok, whatever. It's a really great place for community, and I mean, it still is the premier conference for content creators on the internet. I won or been nominated and won Outdoor Creator of the Year at Outdoor Media Summit, which is going to be in Asheville, North Carolina, where I'll be speaking in September. That's coming up as well.
Ooh.
Which is really, really cool because like all the outdoor brands are there, all the outdoor brand CEOs are there. So just to be kind of recognized as like the influencer social media guy, it's huge, because as I've grown, especially this year, I've not abandoned my outdoor content, but I've expanded to more lifestyle stuff. I've done some dad content with my daughter who plays AAU basketball, and she got her first NIL deal along with me, which was really cool. I was thinking, the outdoor community may not, see me as outdoor creator anymore, even though I still create outdoor content. And to be recognized by them is really cool. And yeah, be looking on the lookout for. We're planning on a lot more speaking events, especially on the West Coast, but honestly, we'll be doing more on the East Coast as well. So yeah, just on the lookout for that. Follow me everywhere: Substack, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Andy Films and Hikes. Subscribe, ring that notification bell.
I know my nephew sometimes will just be like, do people hit the subscribe button? And I'm like, oh God, you've been watching too much YouTube, kid. You've been watching way too much. Yes, they do. We're getting there, but yes, some do. But Andy, thank you so much for sharing your story and just giving us a new perspective on who you are and what your content is. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I love being here.
Yeah. All right, guys, we will catch you next week. And as always, stay hot and stay messy.